Welcome to Thank God It's Monday. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs. Joining me is Ted Fells, and we are the Digital Dudes. And today I want to talk to you about the secret to achieving the impossible. The secret to achieving the impossible. So in the sport of distance running, Ted, it was always believed to be impossible to run a sub 4 minute mile. And then one day, there was this unknown, unheralded runner. His name was Roger Bannister, and he was talking to reporters during a press conference. And he said, "You know what? I'm gonna run a sub 4 minute mile." And they responded by laughing at him. They laughed him out of the press conference. They laughed at him in the paper. They laughed at him on TV. But one day in 1954, all the laughing stopped because Roger Bannister ran a sub 4 minute mile. He had become the first person in history to do this. They had been trying to do this for centuries, literally, and no one could do it. He was the first person to run a sub 4 minute mile. But here's something weird that happened after that. There was something that was weird that happened after that. Over the next 12 months, 30 different people ran a sub 4 minute mile. This thing that everybody said was impossible, this thing that all the reporters laughed at Roger about, once he did it in 12 months, everybody, I'm doing like little kids running sub 4 minute miles. So all of a sudden it became possible. And they asked Roger, they said, "Roger, what do you think about that? Why is it that this unbreakable record all of a sudden became breakable by 30 different people after you did it?" Here's what he said, and it really applies to what we're going to talk about today. He said, the record, it was never a physical boundary. It was only a mental one. That's right. And so here's the big takeaway. And here is the secret to achieving the impossible. You may want to write down, this is going to be profound. You want to write this down and really lean into this. You ready? Here is the secret to achieving the impossible. You have to believe that it's possible. That's the first step. You have to always believe that it's possible. No matter what everybody's saying, no matter what everybody else is doing, you have to believe that it's possible. For example, it's possible to write your book and it become a bestseller. It's possible to launch your podcast. It's possible to scale your business. It's possible to exceed your business goals. And you have to think about this. Like if you've ever studied running, anybody that's ran track will know what I'm about to say, right? To the untrained eye, it looks like the person is jumping over the hurdle, right? But that's not really what's happening. If you've run track, they train you to run through the hurdle. It's not really a jumping. You're really like running through the hurdle. So I would challenge you on this Monday to run through any negative limiting hurdles that are holding you back from achieving the impossible. If you commit to doing that, you'll be positioned to shout, "Thank God it's Monday." Ted, what are your thoughts?
Well, first thing I'm going to say is for those that are going to consider that running through the hurdle thing, right? You might really want to study that before you run through it, because if you
make sure you stretch, drink water, do all that first. Right?
Yeah, so I don't want you saying, right? Well, and if you do say anything, you say Eric said, right? Run through it, but yeah. But yeah, when you talk about the impossible, you gotta first believe it. Like you can't go in as a boxer. You can't go in thinking it's impossible for you to beat your opponent. In any sport, you can't feel that it's impossible, right? So anything that you do, as Eric mentioned, if it's I'm going to write a book, I'm going to get a business started, I'm going to win a key client, you have to believe it's possible. And especially when you have a team, right? Because that team is going to lean on you for that, that inspiration, that motivation, that belief that it's possible. So if you come in like, I don't know, It's going to be a tough game today, tough game today, guys. I mean, they're really, really good. Like, we're going to have to do everything perfect in order to win, and they're going to have to totally suck in order for us to win. Like, if you come in like that, Eric, right, the chances of you winning are probably slim and none.
Are you saying we're not supposed to do that, Ted? Is that what you're saying?
We're not supposed to do
Okay.
that. You got to come in with the David and Goliath mentality, right? You got to be like, okay, I'm gonna take that giant, whatever that thing is that seems impossible. I'm gonna take it head on, and I'm going to expect to get it done, right? And I think that story that you provided was really great because you said everybody else started hitting it, right? Because they didn't think it was the impossible wall dropped at that point once they saw that it was possible, right? So you think about recently LeBron James, going over, Kareem Abdul's scoring record. I'm sure there was a time when Kareem was like, I'm good. Then he started seeing LeBron continue to play and continue to score. He just knew it was only a matter of time before it happened. But believe it that someone else is thinking about LeBron's record already. Someone in the league now is thinking about LeBron's record, and you may think it's Steph Curry and those guys. Yeah, but then there's a rookie guy that may be in there just thinking at some point he is going to get that done too. So the bottom line is, anything is possible. You have to believe it's possible. Whether it's a personal belief or spiritual belief, right? Spiritual belief. I believe all things are possible with God, right? Whatever drives you to believe that you can get it done, that's what you're gonna have to lean into and make it possible. So yeah, I think that was a great great example.
Yeah, and you hit on something like if you're leading people, people are they're following you first and the vision second. So if you say, hey, we're going to the moon, if they really believe in you, they'll be like, you know what? I haven't had any astronaut training, but Ted said we're going to the moon, so that thing is going to happen.
And look, and what you want, you want to find out of those that don't start putting on their moon suits. They may not need to be on this journey with you.
Exactly.
Because that's all it takes in your team is a naysayer in there to say, that moon thing might be a bit much. That Ted and that moon thing. That's all it takes. You don't need any doubters in there. Everybody needs to be in line with you and pushing toward that goal.
Yeah, so it starts with belief, and just make sure that you've got the belief and you've got the certainty that you can make it happen, and that's the secret to achieving the impossible. Speaking of which, you may think it's impossible to magnetically attract your dream client. But our guest tonight on the 30-Minute Hour podcast, his name is Sean Tyler Foley. He helps people do it all the time. They magnetically attract the people they want to do business with. And so you want to tune in. And first, you got to believe it's possible. But then tune in to the 30-Minute Hour podcast tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. And check out our interview with Sean Tyler Foley, author and speaker extraordinaire. And we want to thank you because the 30-Minute Hour has surpassed 700,000 downloads.
Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? When we got started back in 2019 that we'd be here.
There you go.
Amazing.
And we just want to thank you for listening and for sharing the show. And we want to thank you in advance for tuning in tonight at 6 p.m. And checking out the 30-Minute Hour podcast. You can watch us live on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, or later you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any of those other places. That is our time for this week. And I'm just going to leave you with this final thought or this final question. What's possible for you?